Build a wall or open borders? When it comes to immigration, it seems like those are the only two options. It's like playing a game of would you rather if both choices involved having genitals on your forehead. Why has our immigration debate come down to this false choice? I'm Francesca Fiorentini, and today we're going to talk about immigration like adults, except for that genitals joke. You don't have to pay much attention to the budget fight in Congress to be reminded that the debate over immigration in the US is like the Saw movie franchise. It's gone on way too long and keeps getting more absurdly cruel. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Senator Tom Cotton's latest immigration proposal is just to let immigrants stay in the country if they can pick strawberries with no fingers. The conversation is so skewed to the right that solutions to the crisis of undocumented immigration are now presented as either one of two things. Either it's a wall, which will bring about untold tragedies, including this promo video with Paul Ryan. Wow, I don't know if I'm supposed to buy season tickets to that or just get some glow sticks, but I want in. And then immediately out. Or if not the wall, the only other supposed solution is something the right claims the left loves: open borders.
You look to the left-wing people, all they want is open borders.
They want open borders.
They are basically open borders people.
Open borders.
The concept of open borders may even become part of left-wing orthodoxy. In fact, it basically already is.
No, it's not. No one seriously working on immigration reform wants open borders, unless you count that Rally to Save Borders bookstore. Susan had some great staff recommendations. Open borders isn't a thing. Just go to any immigrant rights organization's website and search for it. Doesn't exist. And no serious Democrat has advocated for it or campaigned on an open borders platform because the left wants open borders is just a right-wing talking point. They want their viewers to think liberals believe it, just like they want them to think we want to replace the Trump cabinet with the contestants from RuPaul's Drag Race. And we totally don't. Take Fox commentator Lou Dobbs, who, fun fact, is actually just the stitched-together flesh of every American's racist uncle that was then shimmied into his suit to hide the scars from the lightning that brought him to life. His open borders rhetoric actually gets to the heart of the matter.
Open borders and, of course, amnesty. Those are just code words for cheap labor and Democratic voters.
Okay, hang on. I thought Republicans were the ones who love cheap labor. Isn't that why the majority of them are against raising the minimum wage and why Stephen Miller just works for fruit snacks? But the Democratic voters part is worthy of more attention, particularly because they spelled it Democratic, which is exactly how Dobbs pronounces it. And that means someone is voice-to-texting Lou Dobbs Tonight animations. They're literally phoning it in. But that guy who Trump harvests his hair from is openly saying what many Republicans won't, which is that immigrants, especially immigrants of color and Latinos, if and when they do gain voting rights and vote Democrat. Why? Because it's hard to vote for a party that doesn't have any, como se dice, empathy. And therefore, they're seen as a threat to Republicans' political power. But the idea that immigrants always vote Democrat is kind of BS. We all know a brown immigrant who voted for Trump. They're called, como se dice, regretful. And having such a stupidly shrill, polarized, and inaccurate debate on immigration erases the fact that once upon a time, Republicans thought it was important to reach out to the immigrant and specifically the Latino community. Just listen to Mitt Romney assess the 2012 presidential loss.
The largest strategic error was not investing sufficiently, particularly in Hispanic TV and Hispanic outreach, to help Hispanic voters understand that ours is the party of opportunity, that ours is the party that will help them have a brighter future, better jobs, better future for their kids.
Aw, except you can almost hear Steve Bannon's demon laugh in the background. Also, side note, you don't just get the Latino vote by putting your horrible ideas into Spanish on Hispanic TV. Latinos aren't ducks whose sounds you can mimic so that they'll fly closer to your gun. And we also forget that before Mitt Romney lost, Republicans didn't try to soften on immigration just for votes. They were simply less awful people on the issue. Watch George Bush Sr. and Ronald Reagan try to out-humane each other at a debate in 1980.
If they're living here, I don't want to see a whole thing of 6- and 8-year-old kids made to feel that they're living with outside the law. Let's address ourselves to the fundamentals. These are good people, strong people.
Rather than making them or talking about putting up a fence, why don't we work out some recognition of our mutual problems, and then while they're working and earning here, they pay taxes here. And when they want to go back, they can go back, and they can cross and open the border both ways.
Did you just hear that? Reagan just advocated for open borders. What is happening? Am I dead? Did I die and I'm reliving America in another dimension? Is Bernie president right now?
Build that wall! Build that wall!
Nope, still waking hell. Cool. As recently as 2013, there were serious attempts at immigration reform from both parties in the Senate. That year, the Senate passed an immigration reform bill with support from Republicans that included a path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, a better visa program for agricultural workers, an expanded employee verification system, and hey, it also added 20,000 Border Patrol agents, $40 billion in border security, and 700 miles of fencing. That's right, fence. A wall's chill cousin. The bill was even seen as a decent option by immigrant rights organizations, but it was the Tea Party wingnuts in the House who made sure it was never even discussed, let alone voted on. It's still sitting there, gathering dust like the condom in Stephen Miller's wallet. So the idea that we're in this mess now because Democrats somehow don't want to negotiate or that Trump's wall is a reasonable ask is utter bullshit. Republicans have blocked serious reform for years because they've seen the fruits of their racist, fear-mongering, Lou Dobbsian rhetoric keep them in office. So much so that whenever any Republican brought up the subject of immigration reform during the 2015 Republican primary debates, it was always compared to Trump's wall and the idea of mass deportation.
Donald Trump's plan, his big wall, your plan, Donald Trump's plan to immediately deport 11 to 12 million undocumented immigrants.
Okay, first of all, that was never a plan. It was an evil pipe dream. And second of all, that's a ridiculously unfair matchup. That's like a car salesman offering you either a low mileage previously owned Nissan or a Tiger. Oh, Nissans are so practical, but Tigers are badass. Yeah. How much? What we miss in this Salvador Dali painting of immigration debates is that real reform is hard. And not hard like, well, it's hard to rip up families. No, reform that will actually work, that takes into account jobs that need to be filled, how people will always cross borders no matter what the consequences, and the logistics of humane enforcement is hard. It's not just putting on a red hat and chanting, "Mexico's gonna pay for my tiger!" Just ask this police chief in Washington state who voted for Trump and found out the hard way.
The turning point for me was a guy that I've known for many years who I found out last summer was picked up. I was like, they picked up Mario? I didn't sign up for this. And shame on me for being short-sighted about it. Okay, I mean, fine, but it's not just.
That is so sad. The only way that could be sadder is if in the next scene that heron also gets picked up by ICE. After years of inaction and anti-immigrant propaganda, our conversation about immigration is totally toxic. And now Republicans are holding the country and 700,000 Dreamers ransom in exchange for a wall, all while ICE hunts down MS-13 members who are curiously disguised as teachers and pastors. And for sure, Democrats aren't off the hook. They've agreed to stoop to the GOP's level and argue on their terms, and they haven't been able to counter the anti-immigrant propaganda or advocate for real solutions. So to all the spineless politicians who rolled over when they were trumped on immigration, who are making careers off xenophobia and hate, know that we see you. And there are millions of legal immigrants still in this country, and they do vote. And at this point, definitely not for you. And Paul Ryan, we fixed your stupid f***ing promo video. Thanks for watching Newsbroke. I'm Francesca Fiorentini. Follow me on Twitter at FrannyFio, and make sure to follow Newsbroke on Facebook Watch for more episodes just like this one. That is, if you enjoyed it, and if you didn't, just don't tell anybody. Also, we're on YouTube, so subscribe to us there, and we'll see you next week.